Alright guys, another Friday night ties here. It is early spring, so that means it's skwala season. So tonight I'm tying up a stimulator and I'll be tying it up in skwala colors. I've already had some good luck with this fly this year, so let's get right into it. Drinking some beer from Big Spring Brewing Company that's in Lewistown, Montana. It's pretty good stuff, so yeah, let's get into it. Alright guys, so like I said, it is skwala season, and skwala season is kind of one of my favorite times of the year because when it comes to freestones, it's the first true legitimate big bug freestone hatch that you can have. I do a lot of tailwater fishing, as I've talked about before, but freestones is kind of where I like to spend most of my time when it's available to be able to do that. In the wintertime, it's not always a great option. But yeah, when you can do it, I love doing it. So first off, I'm using orange thread. It's a stimulator pattern. I just kind of feel like it's not a stimulator if you're not using orange thread. I already have my elk hair stacked up for my tailing fibers. Go ahead and get those matched up. I like to have my tail tied in to where the thread is hanging right there over the barb. I'll go ahead and tie those in, cinch them down a bit, and then I'll take somewhat loose wraps, just kind of straddling all that hair along the shank of the hook until I get up to about the 3/4 mark. Then I do a couple full wraps around and I cinch down again. Then I'll return back down the body. You don't want to cinch down super hard on the hair. You want to keep some of the buoyancy, or try to. Bring it back down to those tailing fibers. Then I'll pull up on those butt ends and trim them off. Stimulator kind of seems to me like it's a controversial fly sometimes. There's people that love them and people that hate them. I am in that group of people that just absolutely love them. The stimulator is a fly that, it was one of the first flies that I was like truly successful catching wild fish on. In my early days of going out to the river, to the rivers around me, and fishing for these wild freestone fish, there was one day in particular where I was throwing everything that I knew of at the time and I wasn't getting any eats. And I ended up going to a fishing access, and on my way in, I crossed a guy that was on his way out. He asked me how my day was going, and I was honest. I told him, no, not the best. Haven't caught anything. I talked to him for a little bit. Ends up being that he owned the local fly shop in that town. Then he asked me, well, have you thrown a stimulator? And I hadn't even heard of the fly at the time. This was back when I was still in high school. And I was like, no, I haven't. I don't have any of those. The guy reaches into his fly box and grabs me just your classic colored stimulator. Kind of like that orange body, yellow body stimulator. He says, throw one of these. He goes his way, I go my way. I get to the first riffle at that fishing access, throw that stimulator, and instantly got the first fish of the day. And ever since then, I don't go to any freestone in Montana or Idaho, or really anywhere in the West, without a good supply of these flies. I fish them pretty much all summer long. I just think they're a great fly. But yeah, so today it's like I said, it's early spring, skwala season, and so I'm tying it in a more skwala pattern or color. People that have kind of been around skwala hatches know that they can vary a bit. There's a lot of them that are super dark, almost black. And then there's some that can end up being almost an olive color, which is kind of what we're going for here. And then I've even seen people showing photos of squalls they found that have been dang near looking like just a smaller version of a golden stone. So they vary a bit. But I typically find them mostly in that black coloration. I just think these green ones, these olive ones, look the most appealing to me. And that's kind of what's most importantly sometimes. You're trying to catch fish or not fish sometimes with your flies. But yeah, I had my first successful day with this fly of the year. It was not this last weekend, not Easter weekend, but the weekend before. I was planning on fishing a freestone because the freestone by me has just been so great. But when I woke up, looked at the weather and saw that the forecast had changed. It was supposed to be just beautiful, sunny day, no wind. And I look, and overnight the forecast had changed to sustained 20-mile-an-hour wind all day long. And I fish there when it's like that. I have a video fishing at this tailwater when it's like that. It's really just, I mean, you still catch fish, but it's not the greatest time. So I pulled an audible, decided to get on the interstate and drive out west to what I consider my favorite river. And I really didn't know what to expect because this river can be kind of finicky in the early spring. It's low, clear water, and so the fish can be real spooky and hard to get, and you also just never know if there's going to be any kind of a hatch going on. And so it's kind of a little bit of a risk picking this river, but I show up, and first thing I do when I get to the fishing access is I have to run into the vat toilet, not to be too much information, but to my surprise, on the wall in the vat toilet is a big old skwala. And I am not doing a great job of not catching these tackle fibers, but it'll fish anyway. Sometimes they just don't want to work with you and you just gotta get through it. But anyway, that was a surprise to me because I wasn't expecting the squalls to be out just yet. And so, second audible of the day, took off the bobber rig that we all hate, threw on a single stimulator in this color pattern, and just about instantly was catching fish. It was a great day, And it actually was a great day for more than one for just that reason, which I'll get into. I'm going to explain a little bit about this fly first. With my stimulators, I like to do an underwing of CDC feathers. I think that it adds a good amount of buoyancy. CDC feathers are very waterproof, and I feel like it adds kind of a layer between your elk hair wing and the water, and I find that the fly floats for much longer if you add a CDC underwing. These are goose CDC feathers off a Canada goose that I shot this fall, and so that's another reason I like to kind of interpret them into my flies. But so yeah, I put that goose underwing on first. But anyway, I'm gonna cut a section of elk hair here while I kind of continue this story on. So anyway, first spot I get to, I run into those fish that were hitting the dries, and that's enough to make your day on its own when you have been sitting around nymph fishing all winter long and you get your first good dry fly eats of the year. But I fished that spot for quite a while, and I decided I wanted to go up a little bit higher on this river to the upper region, which is more in the mountains than in the farmland where I had been fishing before, where I caught those original fish. And on my way in, saw a pretty good sized herd of cow elk. Tried to get a little video of them, but it didn't turn out. They're a little too far away. I get done watching those ladies and keep on down the road. I get to the area where I normally park for the fishing hole I was looking to go fish, and here's a big old cow moose just wallowing away right where I was about to go. I'm going to pause my story real quick. I like to show a little bit of the methods I like to secure these wings good. I do a couple good tight wraps securing that wing, and then all I'll just grab these butts and I'll kind of split out like a fifth. Pull it back, tight turn. Another fifth, pull it back, tight turn. That's more like a third probably. And then leaving just a little bit more, another wrap, tight turn, and then I'll put a couple good tight wraps on just the bare shank. And what I find is when I do it like that, the hair wing on these likes to roll on you after it's been fished for a little bit. When I do that, I find that it doesn't roll as bad. But anyway, we'll get back to the story now. Big old cow moose right where I was about to fish. And I've never personally had any kind of bad encounters with cow moose or bull moose. I've gotten very close to a lot of them accidentally while making my way to different fishing holes, and they've never done anything. But I know that they do have a reputation for not always being so friendly. So I decided I better just give that girl her space and go to my second option for a fishing spot. I get to that spot yet again, catching some pretty great fish. Ended up catching It wouldn't be a huge fish on a tailwater, but it's a pretty good sized fish on a freestone of this level. And it was a good 17.5, 18-inch rainbow. Which is more than enough to make me happy on this particular freestone. I'm normally able to get brown trout of that magnitude in the first spot that I had been at. But the only brown trout I actually caught on this day was probably about, I don't know, 12-inch fish. Nothing to write home about. But anyway, caught a really nice rainbow. Feeling great about the day. It's been a great day, you know. Good fish, some good dry fly fishing, and then the 2 wildlife encounters I'd had up to that point. And I get to moving on from the hole where I'd caught that nice rainbow. I'm looking at a run as I'm walking down the river, and it's distracting me, as a good run will distract any fly fisherman. And I look forward, and there's a brown colored bear standing on the bank of the river about 60 yards ahead of me. And this is an area with a very high density of both black and grizzly bears. And so obviously that froze me pretty quick. I had all my proper bear mitigation tools on me, firearm and bear spray, but you still don't want to have any kind of confrontation with them anyway. And this bear was just brown enough to make me question what it was for the first couple moments, as it just kind of stared me down. But eventually it kind of turned its head, and I was able to see kind of the silhouette of its head and then its body when it completely turned. And I was able to eventually distinguish that it was a black bear. And so that kind of took my guard down a little bit, although they still attack people every once in a while, but it's not nearly as common. But yeah, so that got my heart pumping a bit. And that was just another level of like just how great of a day on the water it was. Another great wildlife encounter, all on the same day. But yeah, I'm sure that I've already added the clips of all these animals into this video. But yeah, just a great day on the river. I mean, any one of those things would make for a great day. Any one of those on their own. The combination of those just made it just phenomenal. But I'm hoping that that's just going to be a sign to a good summer of fishing. A great start to the season. I enjoy the winter for everything that the winter is. I ice fish, I fish tailwaters, and I ski. But at the same time, you get to a point where you're just ready to get after it in terms of the real serious spring and summertime fly fishing. So I'm about to wrap up this fly here. Last step here is to grab a hold of this hackle up this front section. And then we're just about done. I like to give it one good wrap right against that hair, and then start with some fairly close turns going up through. Oh, and my hackle pliers slipped off, but looks like it didn't cause any major malfunction. Hoping to get some more actual fishing videos going here soon. I have a bunch of plans for different high mountain lakes that I'm gonna try and visit as soon as the snow melts off and we can actually get to them. So hoping to get a lot of videos of that kind of fishing in this summer. Oh, these pliers are just not wanting to work with me today. But yeah, I'm hoping I got the first big fishing trip of the year. Bunch of friends go out to an annual spot. And because of that, I'm probably not going to be doing any filming there just because it is a fun friend trip and I would just like to enjoy it rather than stress about trying to get any video. But yeah, excited. Fishing season has gotten here. And it's time to get real serious about catching these trout. Alrighty. We will tie this one off. Leaving that classic orange stimulator head on it. Last steps are to trim out these legs. I like the front legs slightly shorter than the rear. I like the rear legs to be just about the same length as that wing. And there you go. Stimulator and skwala colors. Great little pattern. This is a size 10. This is about the size I was seeing those squalas. But yeah, tie some up, go fish them. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.